fall at a New York City subway stop. Tropical Storm Fay drenching the Northeast tonight, while across the country, the COVID crisis intensifies. Dr. Anthony Fauci calling it spread a, quote, perfect storm. Crush of cases. The daily number of new cases is surging as states that were among the first to reopen deal with a record increase in deaths. Alarming scenes in Texas. The governor there saying that the only way they'll avoid a second shutdown is by wearing masks. Testing actually had to be canceled in Houston due to the heat. And in Arizona, long lines for tests and even longer waits for results as the state struggles to gain control. Breaking news, President Trump commutes the sentence of longtime confidant Roger Stone, convicted on 7 counts of obstruction, witness tampering, and making false statements to Congress. Now, just days before he was set to begin his sentence, Stone will avoid prison. Relentless rain as Fay takes aim at the Northeast. The tropical storm lashing out on the coast with concerns of flooding. The storm surge turning deadly as a swimmer is killed by riptides. Winds hitting 60 miles per hour. We'll have the latest storm track and the weekend forecast. School safety. One of the country's largest universities just weeks away from welcoming students. A look at what they have planned. And food fight. Goya facing a growing boycott after the food company's Hispanic CEO praised President Trump, calling him an incredible builder. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. For weeks now, the Trump administration has pointed to the decline of the death toll as an indication that the spread of COVID-19 was getting better. But now the number of Americans dying each day from coronavirus is once again on the rise. More than a dozen states are currently experiencing a deadly surge. The virus has already claimed more than 133,000 American lives. We should also point out nearly 1 million Americans have recovered from the virus, and among them, Randy from Jacksonville Beach, Florida. The 77-year-old was discharged from the hospital today after spending 15 weeks battling the disease, getting a well-deserved fond farewell from the hospital staff there as he left. But tonight, the scene across many hospitals is much more dire, and public health officials fear it may get worse. Our Matt Gutman has the very latest.
Tonight, haunting new images. Another victim of the virus wheeled out of El Centro Hospital, the COVID capital of California. And outside the Fry Chapel mortuary, those white mausoleums for COVID victims. Refrigerator containers. The number of dead tripling here, too numerous to handle inside.
An average month used to be between 45 and 50, and now we're into the hundreds.
And when you say cases, you mean bodies?
Yes.
Sheila Kruger owns the mortuary. Her staff, like family to her, not immune from the virus.
We lost 6 of our staff to COVID.
You had 6 of your staff members out because of COVID?
6 of 8.
In your 33 years in the business, have you ever had to use refrigerator trucks before, or containers?
No. No, we've never seen anything like this.
The daily death toll now rising in 17 states and 12 states setting new records for hospitalizations. President Trump has touted the nation's lower death rate, but late today, White House Coronavirus Task Force Coordinator Dr. Deborah Birx warning the surges in cases will lead to more deaths.
We have not seen this result in increased mortality, but that is expected as the disease continues to spread in some of our large metro areas.
The nation's top infectious disease doctor, Anthony Fauci, saying we are living in the perfect storm right now, urging states with severe outbreaks to shut down. And moments ago, Atlanta dialing back to phase 1 and Las Vegas closing bars starting tonight. But the governors of hard-hit Arizona, Texas, and Florida ardent supporters of President Trump taking little action. Doug Ducey, the governor of Arizona, announcing Thursday a reduction in indoor dining at restaurants, a measure already previously in place.
I feel as if my father was robbed of his life and that his illness was completely preventable.
Kristen Orquiz's father, Mark, died after a 3-week battle with the virus. The obituary she wrote for him going viral.
I knew if I didn't say something, I couldn't trust that anybody else would.
Kristen writing her father, like so many others, should not have died from COVID-19. His death is due to the carelessness of politicians who continue to jeopardize the health of brown bodies through a clear lack of leadership and refusal to acknowledge the severity of the crisis. The president traveling to Florida today, a state with 11,000 new infections and 92 deaths in just the past 24 hours. But the event didn't focus on the virus, but on illegal drugs. And the president did not wear a mask, and neither did many of his senior advisors. And the visit comes as a new ABC News Ipsos poll out today shows Americans are not happy with his leadership on the virus, 67% disapproving of the president's handling of the pandemic. Texas setting records for deaths and hospitalizations with more than 10,000 COVID patients. The governor there saying they're running out of time. In hard-hit Harris County, which includes Houston, officials shutting down all testing sites due to the extreme heat.
Yeah, people just cannot get a break there. Matt Gutman joins us from El Centro, California. And Matt, we saw there in your piece how the governors in various states are handling or mishandled the response. What are doctors that you're talking with telling you?
I just spoke to the CEO of the hospital here, Dr. Adolf Edward, and he had been a battlefield surgeon. He had been deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan, and now he is here where they've had to medevac 600 patients since COVID began. Their death rate has more than doubled. He is in it right now, and he said, when I asked him, how do you think the political echelon has been handling this, he said, I would give President Trump an F- on this. They have been slow to implement mask wearing, and the president didn't wear one today. They have been sending the wrong messages. This is not the kind of help we need here in order to save people's lives. And he wanted that message out, Lindsay.
And Matt, tell us about the space that you're in right now. Is this for overflow from the ICU?
Right. There are so many ICU patients. They went from 12 to more. Then they expanded other rooms and sections inside the hospital. There's no more room in the hospital, so they have created this. It's not an ICU yet. It's just additional beds, but it could be in the very near future. They have to prepare for that. And not only have they prepared for this one, they are going to build another extension here in El Centro. That's how bad this is. And you saw in the piece, the deaths have basically tripled just over the past couple of months. This is one of the hardest hit counties in all of California and, in fact, the country. Lindsay.
All right. Matt Gutman, thanks so much for your reporting, as always. And as this country experiences testing delays, PPE shortages, and now a rise in deaths, many are still grappling with what to do with schools. And tonight, we're learning about an alarming number of coronavirus cases at child care facilities in Texas, and at least in one case, an instance of a death of a newborn. Our Marcus Moore reports.
In Texas tonight, word of an alarming surge in cases at child care centers. Nearly 1,800 staff and children testing positive at more than 1,000 locations across the state, a staggering 759% increase since last month. Doctors are also seeing cases where children have a dangerous reaction to the virus. Vanessa Martinez says that happened to her bundle of joy. These images showing the smiling little girl one day thrown into a fight to survive the next. 6-month-old Valentina was released from the hospital just this afternoon. But there was tragedy in another part of the state. An infant from Corpus Christi caught the virus and later passed away. In Florida, the governor says 21-year-olds account for the highest number of COVID-19 cases, but the youngest deaths in the state believed to be 2 11-year-olds, including Daquan Wimberly. Parents across the country grappling with the virus and the threat it poses to their children. This well-known Christian camp in Missouri now closed after an outbreak there amongst campers and staff. The local health department announcing 49 cases on Friday. By Monday, it soared to 82.
Our thanks to Marcus for that. And as parents and educators try to determine what the beginning of the school year might look like, let's take a look at the University of Central Florida. It's a diverse institution with an enrollment of more than 69,000 students. It's one of the largest in the country. But now it's preparing to welcome back less than half of the student body in physical classrooms while tripling the amount of students that it caters to online. Our Will Reeve has this story.
As COVID-19 cases surge in its community, the largest public university in Florida is preparing to welcome students back to campus in just weeks. The University of Central Florida in Orlando is making drastic changes to its on-campus experience. Over a quarter-mile worth of plexiglass barriers installed in high-contact areas, the school erecting these disinfecting stations and creating isolation rooms for students who test positive. And there will be fewer students on site.
The school is limiting the number of students who can live on campus. When they return to residence halls, everyone will have their own single room.
But even with additional precautions, the student body president understands her peers still have concerns.
To me, student safety is the priority, and we have to focus on that.
We have done a major effort to go into the classrooms and reduce them so there's spacing. So classrooms that are normally filled with, a couple hundred students will be filled now with like 20 or 40, 50 students.
The coursework changed too. One archaeology professor teaching online classes has shifted her approach.
I would typically have students come out into the field and learn how to draw an excavation unit. I can't have them do that now. So what I have them do is draw the dirty dishes in their sink.
What impact does virtual learning have on students who would normally be in a classroom?
I think, students that are later in their careers as a student, it's not that much of a transition, but for those freshmen, the incoming ones, they're losing that on-campus experience. So I think we as faculty, it's part of our responsibility to make sure and ensure that we're giving students that ability to socially connect with each other, because it is very important to have that when they're first brand new to college.
When UCF returns for its fall semester next month, 68% of its classes will be virtual. But as the largest public university in the state, there will be thousands of students on campus as the school reckons with a surge of cases in the state of Florida.
And a new season for UCF's notable football team is a big question mark. But as students prepare to reconvene amid the pandemic, the school is staying the course.
College should be coming back. That's the future. That's what students are investing in.
What would you say to incoming students who are nervous about what the future holds here?
I think that I would say, remember why you chose UCF, or remember why you chose whichever school you chose, and really try to make the best out of your college experience. It doesn't all have to be in person, and take advantage of the remote programming that's being made for you, because you're still going to be able to be involved and active that way.
For ABC News Live, I'm Will Reeve, Orlando.
Earlier tonight, President Trump commuted the sentence of longtime advisor Roger Stone, who was found guilty on all 7 felony charges brought by special counsel Robert Mueller. Stone was scheduled to begin serving his 3-year sentence next week for obstruction, witness tampering, and lying to Congress. Here's ABC's Chief Justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas.
Today, President Trump hinting his longtime friend Roger Stone may not serve a day of his more than 3-year prison sentence.
Well, I'll be looking at it. I think Roger Stone was very unfairly treated.
The self-proclaimed dirty trickster, defiant from the day he was arrested, waving the victory sign of his political hero, Richard Nixon. But that smile disappearing after Stone was convicted on 7 felony counts, including lying to Congress and witness tampering. Prosecutors proved he obstructed a congressional probe into possible connections between Russia, WikiLeaks, and the 2016 Trump campaign. The president has been fuming for months.
This has not been a fair process.
Prosecutors recommended that Stone be sentenced to 7 to 9 years in prison. But after the president cried foul, Attorney General William Barr overruling his own team, saying the sentencing recommendation was too harsh.
Did you talk to the president at all about your decision regarding the recommendations?
Never.
Stone was ultimately sentenced to 3 years and 4 months behind bars.
I felt it was an appropriate prosecution, and I thought the sentence was fair.
I think you said you're no fan.
Did I say that?
Yes, you did.
Well, that's accurate.
But Roger Stone has a fan in President Trump. This week, the president was told his old friend was praying for a pardon. Trump's response, his prayer may be answered.
Pierre Thomas joins us now. Pierre, this certainly isn't the first time that the president pardoned or commuted the sentence of someone he's close to politically. Tell us more about how the White House released the news.
Well, they just put out a statement talking about the fact that the president has commuted Roger Stone's sentence. And it's a blistering statement. They talk about the fact that it was a hoax. The Russia investigation by the Mueller team was a hoax. They say that Roger Stone should have never been under investigation in the first place, and that he has health issues, and that the president stood in the gap to do the right thing for Roger Stone is basically what they said, Lindsay.
And the president said that this case had no merit, but the attorney general told you something different earlier this week, right?
Remarkable, Lindsay. The Attorney General reiterated this week in an interview with us that he believes that Roger Stone's prosecution was righteous, and he believes that Roger Stone deserved prison time, but he acknowledged that it was going to be the president's call.
All right, Pierre Thomas, thanks so much for your reporting, as always.
Pleasure.
And right now, a tropical storm is barreling into the Northeast after making a landfall near Atlantic City, New Jersey, bringing with it strong winds and flooded streets from Delaware to Massachusetts. Our Adrian Bankert is in Long Beach, New York, and brings us these images.
Tonight, Tropical Storm Fay strikes the Northeast, making landfall near Atlantic City, wind and rain flooding the Jersey shore. Waterfalls in New York City subway stations.
Look at the fire hose of rainfall going into New York City, western Long Island, northern New Jersey, and the Hudson Valley.
Across the region, wind gusts near 60 miles an hour.
Take a look at the surf that we're seeing here in North Wildwood. Definitely not the surf that you want to go out in.
And nearly 7 inches of rain in some spots.
If you see any type of pooling or ponding, don't drive through it, right? When in doubt, turn around, don't drown.
In Westchester County, New York, fallen trees ripping down power lines. And in Essex County, New Jersey, part of a tree fell on a woman. She's expected to be okay. Ahead of the storm on Thursday, a group of swimmers were caught in the surf off New York's Long Island. An 18-year-old Queens man did not survive. 5 others were treated and released.
And Adrian Bankert joins us now from Long Island, New York. We can see certainly that the winds are whipping up. It looks very wet. Our hearts are going out to you standing out there. Tell us about the latest conditions, Adrian.
Thank you. Well, you know, you do have to have a good sense of humor when you're reporting on the weather and getting drenched. But I will tell you this, that, of course, we are most concerned about those who might want to try to head to the beach this weekend. And with the high surf still here, also those rip current warnings in effect at this beach and other beaches around the Northeast, people are being asked to be very, very careful and not to swim in the ocean at this current time because of Tropical Storm Fay. We know another concern, of course, is flash flooding on roads. So, of course, windy, wet conditions. Please be safe. Officials using that slogan, turn around, don't drown. Lindsay.
And Adrian, hopefully you can get inside and take some cover and get dry. Thank you for your reporting.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Rob Marciano also out in the elements. Rob, where is the storm going next? And where are the greatest flooding concerns?
North of the center, Lindsay, good evening to you. You know, this is pretty unusual to get a tropical system making a direct run at New York City over this very spot. Last time we had something like this was Hurricane Irene back in 2011, but that was much later in the season. So this is a little bit early. It has a lot of rainfall with it. We've seen that. It is mostly north of the center. Here it is on the radar. And because of that, flash flood watches still remain up. So we'll continue this northward movement. 50-mile-an-hour winds now. That'll decrease overnight. Certainly after midnight, we'll look for it to weaken greatly. And then once it crosses the border tomorrow, certainly will drop all these warnings, but it's going to have a lot of rainfall with it ahead of it and even dragging in behind it. So we've seen a half a foot of rain in some spots, and that level of humidity will stick around for tomorrow. And that cold front that you see sliding in from the Great Lakes, that will trigger with this leftover Fay moisture, some thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon, some of which I think could be severe across the Northeast. Already into the Fay storm, the F storm, Lindsay, and we're not even into the middle of July. So shaping up to be a very busy hurricane season already.
Right, seems
Lindsay?
super early. All right, Rob Marciano, thank you so much. And when we come back, the heart-stopping rescue after a police chase in Florida when a deputy jumps into action to save a baby just weeks old who's in a locked car. We're learning new details about Ghislaine Maxwell, the close associate of Jeffrey Epstein. Was she a flight risk before investigators closed in? But up next, our in-depth look at whether small businesses believe that the Payment Protection Program is working for them as our economy continues to struggle.
You can't read the menu?
I have a traumatic brain injury. I'm not drunk, I'm a veteran.
He's just a crazy veteran.
You need to walk away. If I get up, I'm telling you it's gonna be an issue. Walk away.
You won't believe what people do when they have no idea hidden cameras are watching. And Tuesday, Adam Rippon joins What Would You Do?
Coach, I'm gay.
Things are different now in this world. He doesn't realize it.
It's people, I could even get like emotional talk. It's like people like you.
What Would You Do? Tuesday at 10/9 Central on ABC.
Now, with so much on the line, ABC News, America's #1 news, is right there for you live on Hulu with stories of strength, stories of hope. Because now, when it matters most,
Hulu has live news.
Hulu has live news.
Hulu has live news, and that news is ABC News.
ABC News Live on Hulu.
ABC News Live on Hulu.
Watch the news you need.
Thanks so much for streaming with us.
Streaming to all Hulu subscribers right now.
Welcome back, everyone. The resurgence of COVID-19 this week has brought deepening anxiety for millions of small businesses. The phased reopenings that had once offered hope are now overshadowed by fears among some customers and renewed shutdowns in many states. So tonight we're taking a closer look at the $600 billion Paycheck Protection Program that was supposed to help many of these businesses and their employees weather the storm. But is it working? Our ABC's Devin Dwyer takes a look.
Before COVID-19, U Street Music Hall was a pulsing river of life, cultural crossroads in the nation's capital, and a profitable $3 million a year business for owner Will Eastman. But now,
it's been very tough. I had to temporarily furlough all my staff, was able to bring back 5 full-timers due to PPP money from the government, but it's been extremely tough. We have no revenue coming in whatsoever.
The PPP, or Paycheck Protection Program, has paid out to nearly 5 million American small businesses fighting to survive the pandemic. Congress guarantees the loans. Qualified businesses get a rapid infusion of cash to pay employees and the rent. Eastman received $120,000 in May, but that money is about to run out.
The money from PPP expires in 2 weeks. What are you going to do?
Well, we are selling lots of T-shirts to help fund us right now. We're literally the guy who was jogging and got hit by the meteor, like the 1 in a trillion chance. You know, it's like you look at every list and music venues are at the bottom. We were the first to close and we'll be the last to reopen.
In D.C. and several states, the final phase of reopening won't come until there's a vaccine. Fareed Nouri's nightclub of 25 years last partied in March. Now he's preparing to auction off the furniture and leftover liquor after deciding to close.
Emotionally, how hard was it to call it quits?
So I'd be holding the truth if I told you that there was no emotional aspect to it. There was. But the business side decision was pretty clear-cut.
Nouri got a PPP loan this spring, but said he couldn't cover expenses indefinitely.
We're looking at least a year and a half of staying idle and accruing more rent debt, more insurance debt. So we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars at the end of the day once we can be able to reopen, and we don't even know what that reopening would be.
I am very concerned that we are going to lose as many as 20 to 30% of our small businesses.
Former Small Business Administrator Karen Mills, who helped guide the recovery from the Great Recession, says another financial lifeline from Congress is needed soon.
But cash is the #1 need for small businesses. Money that is not a debt burden to them, that helps tide them over until we get our arms around this health crisis and they can open safely.
While lawmakers debate more financial relief, one business just across town is teetering on the brink.
We, I would say, lost probably 75 to 80% of our income.
Mia Stewart's family wig and hair extensions business was booming before COVID. Now they're barely staying afloat and struggling with an application for the PPP.
So I think there needs to be more of a streamlined process to allow us access to these funds. It should have happened months ago, and here we are still waiting, and it's July.
How dependent is your survival on getting that money, or isn't it?
It's definitely dependent on getting that money and also being able to rehire our employees.
To make matters worse, Stewart's shop was looted during the recent protests after the death of George Floyd. She says more than $150,000 in merchandise was stolen.
And the thing is, we were getting ready to open, so we had restocked as much as we could. The PPP loan, that's just been a really difficult process, and I just think it's completely unfair that these other corporations were allowed to get such large sums of money.
The Trump administration this week revealed the biggest recipients of PPP loans so far. Among them, major restaurant chains like P.F. Chang's, hedge funds, real estate firms, and clothing lines, including Kanye West's sneaker brand, Yeezy. At least a dozen businesses have ties to political leaders, including a hotel partially owned by the husband of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and a shipping company run by the family of Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao.
It's very disappointed because the most vulnerable small businesses out there are the little ones. Overall, the program is going to have saved a lot of businesses, but if you are a bad actor, do not do that again.
President Trump's small business chief, Jovita Carranza, calls PPP one of the most successful and consequential federal disaster response programs in memory.
You already have $500 billion out in the market and enabled a lot of the employment numbers that you're seeing.
After a historic spike, unemployment is on the decline from 14.5% in April to 13.3% in May. Last month, the unemployment rate dipped to 11.1%.
Can you quantify how many employees that loan helped you save?
We at full capacity are only around 15 employees. So the PPP for us was critical in saving well over 50% of our team.
That team at Republic Restorative's distillery now slowly resupplying restaurants with craft vodka and bourbon. And they're still making hand sanitizer, as we saw back in March. But now the distillery's $150,000 PPP loan is almost gone.
I don't know why anyone's taking a victory lap about anything. You can't claim a huge success when, first of all, many businesses are going under today, and those of us like us that are not yet could in the future. So it has been very, very helpful, but we're not anywhere near done with this yet.
Working in her favor is steady demand from walk-up customers who are trickling back. The foot traffic also helping bookstores.
Been good. I would say an upward trajectory.
Adam Waterous considers his Lost City books another PPP success story.
I was able to bring back the majority of my staff, not everyone, because not everyone could come back, but I was able to offer employment to everyone who wanted it.
How optimistic are you that you'll be able to hold this?
I'm still fairly uneasy about what the next few months. I mean, I was listening to the news this morning about Texas and listening to the news about these big surges, and there seems to be little reason to think that it won't come back to us.
Fear of another economic shutdown keeping small business owners on edge and hoping the government will be ready to quickly lend again if recovery veers off course. For ABC News Live, I'm Devin Dwyer in Washington.
Our thanks to Devin. And we are now joined by Simone Sanders, a senior advisor to former Vice President Joe Biden's 2020 campaign. Simone, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So just yesterday, Joe Biden introduced a jobs plan in the swing state of Pennsylvania. He said that the plan would bring back the jobs lost this year to the pandemic and create at least 5 million new jobs in manufacturing and innovation. But new data shows that nearly 33 million people collected unemployment checks in just the third week of June. How can your campaign promise that you'll be able to bring those jobs back in addition to creating 5 million more jobs?
Well, look, first, thank you for highlighting the plan. The reality is that Vice President Biden's Build Back Better plan, what he unveiled yesterday was the overarching scope, and that 5 million jobs is just one flank of the plan. In the coming weeks, we'll be talking clean energy. There'll be pieces on care, the care economy, caregiving, but also child care, and also a piece on racial equity that's throughout the whole flank of our jobs program, frankly, but we have a special pillar mobilization for racial equity. So I'll say that, look, this plan meets the moment of where we are, but it also does not ignore the fact that long before COVID, Lindsay, our economy was struggling. Families were struggling. They were concerned about their children's economic future. And so that unemployment, the millions of people who have filed for unemployment, a lot of that economic devastation is also linked to the COVID crisis right now. Folks are filing for unemployment in record numbers as places across this country, some of them had reopened, now they're closing. Well, we have to, at the end of the day, beat this virus. And how do we beat this virus? By testing, by listening to the scientists, not by wishing the virus away. And frankly, the Trump administration, in our opinion, and Donald Trump chief among the folks in the administration, have just truly failed the American people at this task.
Well, let's go back to this because we just reported there in Devin Dwyer's piece, millions of small businesses are at risk right now, as you know, and they may not be able to survive the pandemic. So how does the vice president plan to recover all those jobs lost, which many economists say could be lost permanently?
Well, look, the flank of the plan that Vice President Biden unveiled yesterday was our Buy American plan, and really a plan that makes sure the future is not just made in America, as many people in Trump campaign included would say, that it's made in all of America. That means every community and every worker. So Vice President Biden's jobs plan is a plan that creates jobs, Lindsay, by manufacturing. I mean, we all remember at the beginning, at the onset of this crisis, this pandemic, the lack of PPE that was available, personal protective equipment that was available across this country. Nurses and doctors were wearing trash bags because they did not have, they were out of gowns. So the reality is we don't ever want to be in that position again. And so Vice President Biden's plan, the manufacturing flank of this would in fact create jobs. But that's not the only piece. There's a clean economy. There's infrastructure. There's the caring economy. When we talk about caring, we're talking about child care, but also elderly care of aging citizens. And so there are lots of pieces here. And what I'll note is that Vice President Biden's plan is specific to ensuring that we are talking about real people in America, working folks, working families. Whereas when Donald Trump talks about America first, he's talking about corporations.
As you know, there are some protests that are still taking place across the country. We're seeing young Americans engaged in politics like we haven't seen in generations. How do you convince these young people who are calling for real change and an overhaul of the politics as usual sentiment that Joe Biden represents the future when he went to Washington almost half a century ago and would be, if elected, the oldest first-term president in American history?
Well, look, I think we have to speak directly to these young folks primarily, Lindsay, and meet them where they are. And so that is what our campaign is doing all across this country. And Vice President Biden himself, when he gave his initial address in this moment of unrest in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, about a month ago at this point, he talked about the fact that this unrest that we're seeing in the country is not just on the heels and just about the murders of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Rashard Brooks and Ahmaud Arbery, and the list goes on, Tatiana Jefferson. This is also compounded with the economic devastation that folks are experiencing, the public health crisis. Many of the folks jobless, many of those dead are Black and brown people in this country, and those young folks out in the streets know it. And so we have to speak directly to them, but also put forth a bold vision. At the end of the day, we believe folks want results, and that is what Vice President Biden is providing, but also leadership. And there is a vacuum, we would argue, a void of leadership right now. The last point I'll make is this. I live in Washington, D.C., and when the first nights when protests broke out across this country, in Washington, D.C., the protesters did not go to the Department of Justice, which is here in the city. They did not go to the Wilson Building, where the mayor of Washington, D.C., Mayor Bowser, works. They went to the White House. And they have stayed outside the White House consistently, what is now known as Black Lives Matter Plaza, raising their voices and demanding change. They went to the White House because they know who the president is matters, and they know this current president is not delivering for them.
Just this week, the headline of one USA Today article was, young Black voters say they aren't enthusiastic about a Joe Biden presidency. Among the concerns, in the midst of all the protests surrounding criminal justice and with calls to defund the police, the Biden campaign responded by promising to add $300 million for community policing programs. That was criticized by some as irresponsible and tone-deaf, and that the notion that Biden is, quote, too wedded to the past to grasp the moment's potential. What's your response to that?
My response to that is, look, you have to look at the totality of what Vice President Biden has been saying. A lot of what was introduced in the House bill about a month ago were things that Vice President Biden was talking about well over a month and a half before that. And so, yes, in that USA Today op-ed, he talked about support and funding for the COPS program, which is community policing. But what he also spoke about and was very clear on, Lindsay, is that, look, police departments in a Biden administration who do not institute reforms, rogue police departments, those police departments should be held accountable, and they should not be prioritized for funding. They should lose their funding. He reiterated that in a conversation with Addie Barkan, a noted healthcare activist, earlier this week. Vice President Biden believes that we have to, create a holistic policy to really attack the issue here. And so that means getting the data. That means banning chokeholds. That means, setting benchmarks for police departments to meet. But that also means looking to some of these other issues in our societies. And so we talk about the lack of funding for education, the lack of funding for healthcare, the lack of funding for, frankly, after-school programs. and community and jobs programs across the country in communities all big, large and small. Those are things that Vice President Biden has spoken to, and he will champion as president.
And when it comes to his own pick for VP, Senator Amy Klobuchar recently said this is a historic moment and America must seize on this moment. I truly I think this is a moment to put a woman of color on that ticket. And also just last week, the Washington Post said that you helped orchestrate a conversation between Biden and prominent black women, pushing him to choose an African-American running mate. So do you agree with Senator Klobuchar?
Well, look, we greatly appreciate all that Senator Klobuchar has done for our campaign. She was part of a blockbuster endorsement day down in Texas all those months ago. And we looking forward. She held an event for us in Arizona today, a Build Back Better event in Arizona, a virtual event. Look, what I'll say is this. This is a decision for Vice President Biden to make, but absolutely, he has heard the concerns of voters across his country. The fact that the Washington Post could report that he was on a call with women, prominent African-American women who would like to see an African-American woman as vice president is evidence of that. He's also heard the concerns of the Latino community. He's heard the concerns of the LGBTQ+ community, whom also say they would like to see a running mate pick that represents their community. At the end of the day, Vice President Biden is going to pick someone who can marry the relationship he had with President Obama, who can be a good governing partner, because the work before a Biden administration will be immense. He's going to have someone he can give presidential authority to, like President Obama gave to him. And I am confident that he is going to find that running mate. So no news to break just yet. Okay, that could be a black woman, but we don't know just yet. So stay tuned.
We were hoping you were going to break that for us right here, Simone. Simone Sanders.
Not today.
With the Biden campaign. Hey, we thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
We still have a lot to get to here on Prime. The firestorm brewing in the NFL after a player posted and later deleted an anti-Semitic post. And now tonight, another player is claiming the uproar is distracting from the Black Lives Matter movement. But first, our tweet of the day, Lin-Manuel Miranda echoing the anger of so many online and offering his own personal adobo recipe after the CEO of Goya's visit to the White House yesterday. We'll explain that controversy in just a bit.
In times like these, the news-making events happen here. ABC News.
President Trump meeting face-to-face with one of the world's most brutal dictators, Kim Jong-un.
The president.
Do you trust him?
I do trust him, yeah. I think he trusts me, and I trust him.
Ivanka Trump.
I have to ask you about your emails. Your father had...
Very strange.
Michelle Obama.
What do you wish you could tell your pre-White House self?
Whew. Melania Trump.
Do you think there's still people there that he can't trust?
Yes.
Still working out?
Yes.
Michael Cohen.
So he's still lying?
Yes.
It's a big statement.
And now, in a year with so much on the line, we're right there.
Good evening tonight from Washington, a very busy news night.
America's #1 news source, ABC News, straightforward.
We all need someone who'll pull no punches and give it to us straight. No bull, no spin. Now imagine getting your news like that. Just give it to me straight. ABC News, straightforward.
Another week in America, a country facing a new test now.
The Wuhan airport, almost no one here.
The last flight out of Rome.
This is the nursing home just outside Seattle. Dozens of people were just rushed off this cruise ship.
This is ground zero.
It is shut down.
Another ambulance just pulled out.
Now they're headed to the hospital.
Time is of the essence.
You can see the ship behind me.
This is the first time tests have been done here.
Morning, afternoon, evening, late night, 24/7. ABC News, there for you.
What's the most innovative daily news podcast out there to listen to every day? Well, the Edward R. Murrow Awards say it's Start Here, the daily news podcast from ABC News. Even the New York Times calls us a top news podcast worth listening to. Start Here, free on Apple Podcasts.
With America reopening, how can you stay safe, keep your family safe, and thrive? We all have so many questions.
And that's why we're right here for you with what you need to know.
So join us afternoons with What You Need to Know at 1 Eastern, 12 Central and Pacific on ABC.
And we're learning new details tonight about the conditions behind bars for Jeffrey Epstein's alleged co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell. This as she's requesting to be released on bail. Eva Pilgrim has more.
The defense team for Ghislaine Maxwell tonight arguing the former girlfriend of accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein should be released from jail. Prosecutors call Maxwell an extreme flight risk, but her attorneys argue she never left the country after Epstein's arrest, instead staying out of the public eye, given the crush of media attention, as alleged victims of Epstein also called for her arrest.
We need to get to the bottom of everybody who was involved with that, starting with Ghislaine Maxwell.
Maxwell now housed at a prison across the river from the facility where Epstein took his own life.
After what happened with Jeffrey Epstein, they're going to be keeping an eye on her.
Maxwell is under constant monitoring, wearing only paper clothes and no sheets on the bed. Her lawyers proposing she be released on $5 million bond with GPS monitoring, writing, Ghislaine Maxwell is not Jeffrey Epstein. The British socialite vigorously denies charges she helped Epstein recruit, groom, and abuse 3 teenage girls in the mid-90s and will fight any allegations against her. But some of Epstein's alleged victims want her behind bars.
The victims are very adamant that she not get bail. This arrest is a major step to validating that the victims and survivors of these crimes have a voice.
Maxwell's attorneys say due to COVID, if she stays here behind bars, her health would be at serious risk and it would keep her from participating in her defense. The hearing on her bond is scheduled for Tuesday. Lindsay?
Our thanks to Eva Pilgrim for that. And we still have a lot more to get to tonight. The Caribbean island that's offering people a pandemic hideout until this crisis ends. And there's so much about the history of our nation that has not been taught. Why is that? We'll take a closer look.
Seeing right now, this is part of the eye wall.
This procession of migrants goes back 2 miles.
There is going to be catastrophic damage.
This fire has made a run. You can see those flames shooting up into the sky.
We are on the jam-packed red carpet.
To the right, guys.
So this is the 4th weekend of protest.
Watch ABC News on location for Facebook Watch.
What's the most innovative daily news podcast out there to listen to every day? Well, the Edward R. Murrow Awards say it's Start Here, the daily news podcast from ABC News. Even the New York Times calls us a top news podcast worth listening to. So if you like getting behind the biggest news stories of the day, inside all the details, the backstory, and what will happen next, then listen to Start Here, the daily news podcast from ABC News. It's like no other news podcast out there. Even the critics agree. Listen free on Apple Podcasts.
This is what being live is all about. This is ABC News Live, the 24/7 streaming news source from ABC News. Breaking news, live events, streaming nonstop. Original breakthrough storytelling from ABC News, National Geographic, ESPN, and it's all designed differently for you to stream straight to any screen whenever you want.
ABC News Live.
Streaming everywhere, right to you. ABC News Live. It's that easy to go there.
The Americans here on the ground and the Iraqis. 18,000 tons. Patatas. Ismail? David.
Over ground zero from Hurricane Michael.
You can see just home after home.
David, nice to meet you.
This was your view.
My favorite view.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tuesday night.
Coach, I'm gay.
Adam Rippon joins an emotional What Would You Do?
Just give him time. Things are different now in this world. He doesn't realize it.
We could even get like emotional talk. It's like people like you.
Tuesday on ABC.
The nation's top infectious disease expert out with a new warning for the country's hotspots, recommending they consider pausing their reopening plans.
Despite
the guidelines and the recommendations to open up carefully and prudently, some states skipped over those and just opened up too quickly.
Florida, one of 12 states hitting a record number of COVID-19 hospitalizations. Governor Ron DeSantis says the federal government is sending more remdesivir to help the most critically ill patients.
Cases there, plus those in Arizona and South Carolina, growing faster than anywhere else in the world, according to the New York Times. Arizona with nearly 1 in 3 people testing positive. Numbers are even rising in some less populated rural areas.
We're in the middle of nowhere here in Southwest Kansas. We didn't think that it would get to us, and it did take a long time, but when it finally did get to us, it hit us like a freight train.
We cleared our deck and put the plants away, and so things don't blow.
Tropical Storm Fay made landfall near Atlantic City, New Jersey, bringing sustained winds of 50 miles per hour. Forecasters say the heaviest rain is pushing north of New York City. Gusty winds will persist as the center moves north.
A 31-year-old man is facing more than 10 charges after deputies say he left a baby in a running car. Officers chased the man after they say he hit a school zone sign in a car that is part of a stolen vehicle investigation. Once he was caught, the man told police his newborn son was in the car.
Oh, yeah, there is.
Luckily, the officers were able to open the door and the baby was unharmed.
What's up?
Police say the baby was safely returned to his mother.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Goya Foods is facing a big backlash after the CEO praised President Trump, saying we are blessed to have him as our president.
We're all truly blessed at the same time to have a leader like President Trump, who is a builder.
The comments have spurred outrage, especially among Latinos who have felt disparaged by Trump's policies and rhetoric. Now there are calls for a boycott of Goya, the nation's largest Hispanic-owned food brand. Social media users have been sharing homemade recipes and videos of themselves replacing Goya products. This morning, the CEO told Fox News he will not apologize for praising Trump. If you're one of the many people working from home, officials in Barbados say book your ticket. The Prime Minister says her government is considering a plan called the Barbados Welcome Stamp, which will allow visitors to stay and work remotely from the island for a year as travel essentially stopped during the pandemic. Barbados is set to open its borders to international travelers on July 12th.
Welcome back. There is a potential danger lurking on America's highways in the age of COVID. Inexperienced drivers, as many are turning to RVs for the very first time. Rookie drivers could run into trouble. Our Gio Benitez has more. Hey, Gio.
Hey there, Lindsay. I want to take you inside this RV right now because I want to show you why this is so popular right now. 5 people can easily sleep in this one right here. You've got a bed in the back. This table turns into another bed, and then you've got another bed right there in the front. But now some families are saying that driving this is not as easy as it looks. RV sales and rentals are seeing a boom in the age of social distancing. And accidents like these are a cautionary tale of what not to do on the road. For some new drivers like Gina Anon, there's a bit of a learning curve.
It feels like you're driving a truck.
Anon and her family bought this 31-foot RV to travel from their home in Massachusetts to visit family in Arizona. But the trip took a turn when they stopped for coffee and suddenly heard a crash.
I jumped out of the RV and I looked, and the pole that's next to buildings to protect the buildings, I literally just slammed right into it.
It took a repairman 2 hours and $200 to get them back on the road. And the Anons aren't the only ones.
Watch out for that tree.
The Homrich family from Georgia bought an RV in March to travel during the pandemic. But they're having some difficulties maneuvering their new ride.
You're essentially driving a house on wheels. Whenever we tried to park the RV in my mom's driveway, we ended up taking out a bush, a branch. She essentially had to re-landscape her entire yard.
RV safety experts warn there should be some research before just jumping in the driver's seat.
It is different. It's heavier.
So the stopping distances are longer, it's taller, and so you have to watch, and you are limited in some instances.
Other tips: first take the RV to an empty parking lot and practice driving. Have a spotter when you're trying to back up, and pre-map your destination so there aren't any low-clearance bridges or tunnels. As for the Anon and the Harmrich families, they're looking forward to their next trips, maybe with a slightly wider turn. Now, the RV rental company where we got this says their business is up by 300%. And they say if you know how to drive a U-Haul, that's what it's going to take to drive this safely on the road. Now, we're seeing some really interesting things on Google right now. These are search trends. Take a look at this, because the big breakout searches this week are for road trip and healthy road trip snacks. But the search giant says more people are searching for staycation and hiking than ever before, all-time highs. Yet many people are clearly desperate to get away right now. Searches for COVID vacation ideas going way up by 500%. Just incredible numbers right there. A lot of people really want to get away, Lindsay.
Our thanks to Gio. And tonight, the Philadelphia Eagles have disciplined wide receiver Deshaun Jackson after he posted anti-Semitic quotes attributed to Adolf Hitler on Instagram. The team announced a punishment a short time ago, saying that he had committed conduct detrimental to the team. It's still not clear if the team plans to suspend him. Jackson has since apologized for his post. Today, he met with a 94-year-old Holocaust survivor in private, and yesterday he met with a group against anti-Semitism. Other NFL players have since chimed in on Jackson's comments, and the quote, which turned out not to be from Hitler himself. His former teammate Malcolm Jenkins posted this today on Instagram.
We got to stay focused. All of this back and forth that's going on right now is a distraction. Comments were made, and they were wrong. Allow those who were impacted by it to voice their grievances. But we got to stay focused.
Jenkins is facing some criticism for the comment that he made under the video he posted, saying Jewish people aren't our problem and we aren't their problem. It's been just over 6 weeks since the death of George Floyd at the hands of police in Minneapolis rocked the nation, unleashing waves of protest and renewed examination of our country's long struggle with racial violence, including instances long forgotten or often never known by many Americans, like the massacre in Tulsa in 1921. But as ABC's David Wright explores, Tulsa is just one of many events in our country's past that were never included in history books, history that needs to be reckoned with as we search for a way forward.
The killing of George Floyd by a Minneapolis police officer in broad daylight, as shocking as it was to witness, was hardly a one-of-a-kind incident.
It was a lynching in broad daylight, knowing he was being filmed, looking into the camera, looking into an audience with two officers supporting him.
Before George Floyd, there was Eric Garner in Staten Island. Before that, presumably countless other incidents not caught on camera, all the way back to the beating of Rodney King in L.A.
Rodney King was first. Rodney King is the first case that we have where it's on video, right? Black people would say, yeah, that happened every day.
And when an all-white jury in Simi Valley, California, cleared those LAPD officers of police brutality,
California's governor has declared a state of emergency for Los Angeles.
South Central LA erupted. The violent LA uprising harkened back to the 1960s, to Watts, and later to the anger that followed the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Professor Arthur Garrison has closely studied the history of racial violence in America. He's the author of a new book, Chained to the System, The History and Politics of Black Incarceration in America.
The idea is that race riots is an eruption of black anger, burning everything they could find, right? That is the narrative. We don't know that most riots in American history are white race riots against blacks, not the other way around.
There have been incidents that don't seem to be played up in the history books that have come to the forefront in recent weeks as a result of the focus on this issue.
Details like the massacre in Tulsa of the prosperous Greenwood neighborhood, the Negro Wall Street, as Booker T. Washington called it, burnt to the ground by a white mob.
We talk about civil rights starting with Brown v. Board of Education, and we think that's when all history began, right? And so Greenwood is 21, right? Rosewood is 1923.
But Tulsa was just one of many pages in the dark history of the Jim Crow era.
Rosewood in 1923, this woman says that she was raped by a black man, and the white community in Rosewood rose up and wiped out the entire black neighborhood and chased the survivors out of Florida, never to be seen again. And then, of course, Red Summer in 1919, that was 60 cities that just over a period of the summer attacked the blacks for various reasons. Some of them economic, some of them political, some of them racial.
As Garrison puts it, slavery and the Jim Crow period that followed slavery, that was systematic racism. The crime now widely acknowledged, but the details often glossed over.
It's easy to beat up on slavery. People don't remember or don't want to remember Jim Crow, and if they do, they say, well, that's over in 68.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
One of the most powerful moments of Barack Obama's presidency was the day he gave the eulogy for a South Carolina preacher gunned down by a white racist who had attended a Bible study at Mother Emanuel Church in Charleston.
Grace is not merited. It's not something we deserve. Rather, grace is the free and benevolent favor of God.
The mass murder of 9 people in 2015 wasn't the first time this particular church, one of the oldest African-American churches in the South, has been the focus of racial violence. The original church burnt down by a group of angry whites decades before the Civil War. The congregation outlawed after a slave rebellion. Black Lives Matter marches today are not new. The issues, tragically, still largely the same.
Do you see this as a moment of change, or is this going to be just one of a long series of cases that get lots of attention in the moment and then things just go back to normal?
I've been thinking a lot about that, and yes, I think this is going to be a change because no one living in the United States has seen a full-scale lynching. You watch it on TV, you watch documentaries, okay. There was a full-scale, real-life lynching.
In this case, there is no ambiguity about right and wrong, and it's just not possible to look the other way and ignore it.
Can no longer be ignored. Our thanks to David Wright for that. We'll be right back in a moment. Stay with us.
In times like these, the news-making events happen here. ABC News.
President Trump meeting face-to-face with one of the world's most brutal dictators, Kim Jong-un.
The president.
Do you trust him? I do trust him, yeah. I think he trusts me, and I trust him.
Ivanka Trump.
I have to ask you about your emails. Your father had taken Hillary Clinton to task for this.
There just is no equivalency.
So the idea of lock her up doesn't apply to you?
No.
Comey.
How strange is it for you to sit here and compare the president to a mob boss?
Very strange. Michelle Obama.
What do you wish you could tell your pre-White House self?
Whew. Melania Trump.
Do you think there's still people there that he can't trust? Yes. Still working now? Yes.
Michael Cohen.
So he's still lying?
Yes.
It's a big statement.
And now, in a year with so much on the line, we're right there.
Good evening tonight from Washington, a very busy news night.
America's #1 news source, ABC News, straightforward.
We all need someone who'll pull no punches and give it to us straight. No bull, no spin. Now imagine getting your news like that. Just give it to me straight. ABC News, straightforward.
Another week in America, a country facing a new test now.
The Wuhan airport, almost no one here.
The last flight out of Rome.
This is the nursing home just outside Seattle. Dozens of people were just rushed off this cruise ship.
This is ground zero.
It is shut down.
Another ambulance just pulled out.
Now they're headed to the hospital.
Time is of the essence.
You can see the ship behind me.
This is the first time tests have been done here.
Morning, afternoon, evening, late night. 24/7. ABC News, there for you.
What's the most innovative daily news podcast out there to listen to every day? Well, the Edward R. Murrow Awards say it's Start Here, the daily news podcast from ABC News. Even the New York Times calls us a top news podcast worth listening to. Start Here, free on Apple Podcasts.
Dozens of people were just rushed off this cruise ship. You guys are the front lines keeping the supply chain open here.
Who lives, who dies?
The Iran hostages, the 9/11 terror attack, and now this.
This is Nightline.
Nightline, when it matters most. Late night on ABC.
And before we go tonight, our image of the day. You may have seen social distancing circles painted in public spaces, but what about hearts? Well, that's how the Brits are doing it. Queen Square in Bristol, England, has been decked out in hearts responsibly spaced out to promote proper distancing as England continues to ease restrictions. Taking someone's heart officially has a whole new meaning. And that is our show for this hour. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us, and have a great weekend.